Okay, so picture this. You've got your license, you've maybe even figured out your niche, you've got a Canva account with way too many font options, and you sit down to write your website and just nothing. You type a sentence, you delete it, you type another one, you delete that one too. So you go look at other therapists' websites for inspiration, and now you just low key depressed because everyone else sounds so put together. And somehow, an hour later, you've done absolutely nothing except bookmark 14 websites and question all your life choices. If this sounds familiar, this is for you. I am Chris Dunkers. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm owner of Crystal Renee, and I help therapists in private practice figure out what to actually say on their websites and then build those websites to attract their ideal clients. So if that sounds like content you need, then hit subscribe because I am here every single week. So here's what's actually happening in that painful blank page moment, and also what's happening if you already have a live website, but something about it just feels a little off and you can't quite put your finger on what. Both of these situations, the paralyzed pre-launcher and the therapist repeatedly refreshing their website, waiting for something to happen, are dealing with the same underlying issue. There's no foundation underneath the message. Now, I know that sounds a little abstract, so let me make it real. Most therapists do everything in the right order. They get licensed, they pick a specialty or choose a niche. They find a website template and then they sit down to write copy and realize they have absolutely no idea what to say. And that's because picking a niche tells you who you're talking to, but it doesn't tell you what to say and in what order on your website. So without a foundation, your website ends up being a collection of technically accurate sentences that somehow don't add up to a message. One paragraph sounds warm and human, and the next one sounds like it was written by the ACA committee. And your potential client lands on your page, thinks it's okay, and then clicks away. What actually moves the needle is going back to four things that most therapists have never actually sat down to work through. And I'm talking about your brand foundation, your purpose, your vision, your mission, and your values. Now, before you click off, because that sounds like some corporate jargon from a workshop you were voluntold to attend, stay with me because the way I'm talking about these four things has nothing to do with filling a bland worksheet. This is about getting clear on who you actually are as a therapist and how you actually work. And when you have that clarity along with clear understanding of your ideal client, your website stops being a guessing game. So let's walk through all four, starting with the purpose. Now, your purpose is your why, and I don't mean surface level answers like, I want to help people. I mean the real why. The reason you went through all that training, all those supervised hours, all of the grad school debt, and still chose to keep going. Something brought you to this work. Maybe it was your own experience navigating a system that didn't see you. Maybe it was a specific population that you couldn't stop thinking about. Maybe it was a moment in a session early on where something clicked and you thought, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. That's your purpose. And when you know that, your website stops sounding generic because you're writing from somewhere real instead of trying to sound like what you think a therapist is supposed to sound like. So, next is your vision. And this one I want you to sit with a bit because most therapists shrink it down when it's actually supposed to be really big. Your vision is not about individual clients, it's about the world, the broader change you want to see happen because you do this work. So, let me give you some examples. So, this one lands the right way. A therapist who specializes in working with Black men might have a vision of destigmatizing mental health in communities where asking for help has historically been seen as a weakness. See what I mean? That's a tall order. That's a vision that impacts the larger community. So here's another one. A therapist working at the intersection of faith and mental health might have a vision of a world where people don't have to choose between their church and their therapist, where spirituality and mental health care coexist without anyone making them feel like they have to pick a side. Big, right? Another one, a therapist works with first generation college students, might be working towards a world where academic achievement doesn't come at the cost of mental health. Now, these are tall orders, and that's the point. Your vision is not supposed to be something you can accomplish by next Tuesday. It's the reason the work matters beyond your caseload. It's what gets you out of bed on those hard days. And when you're clear on it, it shows up in how you write about what you do. People can feel when a therapist is just filling appointment slots and when they're working towards something bigger. Your vision is what puts you in that second category. Now, the mission. If vision is the big picture, the thing you're working towards over a lifetime, mission is what you actually do every day to move in that direction. Your mission is your approach, your methods, your specific way of showing up in the therapy room with every single client. And here's where you want to get concrete in a way that most therapists avoid. Because when I ask a therapist how they work, I usually get one of these answers. Either they list their modalities, CBT, EMDR, DBT, or say something like, I use a holistic client-centered approach. And both of those answers tell me as a potential client almost nothing. Most clients have no idea what those letters mean, and holistic client-centered approach is on approximately every therapist's website on the entire internet. What I want you to think about instead is what actually happens in a session with you. What do you notice that other therapists might not? How do you handle the moments when a client shuts down or deflects with humor or suddenly decides, yeah, everything is fine? What does your specific approach to that work look like in practice? And when you can describe it in plain, honest language, your website stops reading like a brochure and starts reading like an invitation from a specific person who does this work in a specific way. And finally, values. Your values are what you won't compromise on, even when it would be easier to. These are things that shape how you show up, not just in the work itself, but how you communicate, how you structure your practice, how you talk about what you do online. Maybe you deeply value directness and you're not here for vague, meandering sessions that never get anywhere. Maybe you value cultural humility that shows up in every single thing about how you practice. Maybe you value pacing, letting things unfold without rushing, even when the client wants you to just tell them what to do. Whatever your values are, they're part of what makes you a distinct therapist. And when they're clear to you, they become clear in your writing. Your website starts to have a point of view instead of sounding like it could belong to anyone. So here's the thing about all four of these: purpose, vision, mission, and values. They don't just inform your website, they become the filter for everything. When you sit down to write your web pages, you're not guessing. When you try to describe what it's like working with you, you have something real to pull from. And when a potential client reads your homepage, they're not reading a list of services. They're meeting a therapist who knows who they are and how they work and why it matters. And that kind of clarity, that's what makes someone stop and think, I need to reach out to this therapist. So whether you're about to start a private practice website for the first time, or you've had one up for a while and something about it keeps nagging at you, this is the place to start. Not the template, not the color palette. Get clear on who you are as a therapist. Do that first. Everything else builds from there. Most therapists are genuinely skilled at their work, but nobody taught them how to do this part. And once you do it, the website stuff gets a whole lot easier. I promise you that. So if this video helps something click for you, go ahead and subscribe. I'm here every week with content specifically for therapists who are building their practice and their online presence. And if you're ready to actually dig into this work, come join me in my free school community. I built it specifically for early stage therapists who want to start a private practice website the right way, or finally understand why the one they have isn't doing what it's supposed to do. So the link is below, and come on in. It's free. It's exactly where this work begins.